Hi there, Dolly. Crochet time. As you can see, I've got two of my girls with me today. I have a Cindy and I have my fakie Blythe. And what they're both modelling is these little halter tops. There's some little fringes on there. You see we've got a little bow on the back. We have a little button there. I had wondered whether I should have done a second button. I might do that for the video, but it's up to you if you do a second button. But the one button is okay. And as you can see, she has this little chain halter there as well. And here is our Blythes. Slightly smaller. I will mention that in the video, and again tied exactly the same with a button stitched onto the back. That's not too close, is it? I hope not. So I will show a pattern, but I will mention this has just a few less stitches than this one. So that is all I'm going to mention, and also that is something you need to check on your own doll, because the type of pattern this is, it doesn't matter, you can make it larger or smaller, it just depends on your actual doll. Now the yarn I'm using, it is a King Cole yarn and it is called Geezer, and it is 100% cotton and it is beautiful. Really impressed with this. I also have this in a blue, which I meant to bring up and I haven't. Oh dear, never mind. Because I'm going to make some of these tops in blue as well. It's a blue variegated like this, because I'm going to be popping these both on my sites to sell for those people who don't actually crochet. So who are we going to move out of the way? I'm going to move, oh, I'm not going to move either of them really. Let's just move them to one side. Can you see them both? And we're going to get going. Now the hook I have used is a 2.5mm crochet hook. I have my scissors, I have my needles. Now the sewing cotton's only there to sew a button or a bead on, or whatever you want to do for the actual fastening. So I'm going to move that to one side. It is quite a quick little top, very nice to do. You do have to, again, keep checking the size on your dolls, because your tension could be different to mine. We're going to make the Blythe size today, but I'm just going to tell you how much more you need to add on for Cindy, because then the rest of it's the same. So we're going to start, obviously, with our slip knot onto the hook. Now, because it's a cotton, there's not a lot of stretch there, so you do have to be careful with it. And we're going to start with 26 chain. So we have 1, 2, 3, don't pull it tight because you'll not get your stitches in for later, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25 and 26. So now can you see they are not tight chain, because I need them to be easy to go in, and they're nice and even because it's the top of the top, so it needs to be neat. And that's 26 chain for the Blythe. Again, it does depend on the chest of the doll, so at this point you would measure it round your doll and make sure it is going to fit her. I know it does because I've already done this previous one. If you're going to be making for Cindy though, I actually did 32 chains on there for the Cindy, and the rest just works the same. We just end up a little bit more fringing on the bottom of the Cindy's, but that doesn't really matter at this point. So we are now going to do 1 double crochet into each of those chain, and because I've kept my chain not loose, you don't want them loose, but I've kept it nice and even and not forced, this is going to be quite easy now to go into. Now it is a variegated yarn, so obviously every single one you make will be slightly different. The beauty of variegated yarn, I absolutely love it. And I dropped a stitch then, just straighten that out when it curls, because it will curl as you're doing it. So it's just one, this is our foundation row, and it's just 1 double crochet into each of those chains. The blue one I've got, it's more like denim-y, different shades of denim colours and white. It's really nice. As I said, I don't know whether this is a yarn you can get wherever you are, but essentially it is a 4-ply cotton. In fact, I am going to move the girls out of the way, because just looking at the camera, I think it does sort of detract from what I'm doing a little bit, and you need sort of a clear view of what we're doing. So this is our first row. Keeping it nice and even. Definitely my favourite type of yarn. I love 4-ply and I love 4-ply cotton. It just holds its shape. It's just a lovely yarn. Oh, I like that green. That's so pretty. So we're almost at the end. Now when we're at the end here, we're going to create our little loop which is for fastening our button at the back. So I'm at the end, just tightening that one up to make sure it's nice and neat there. And all I'm going to do here is I'm going to make 6 chain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. I'm going to turn my work now, so I'm going to be working down the other side, well not the other side, I'm going to be working down the side of my turned work, but this I need to make it into sort of like a loop. So I still go into my first stitch here. Now it does get in the way a bit when you're doing this, so make sure it's in position and off we go. So pull it through, it doesn't want to go through, there we go. And it's just 1 double crochet again in every single stitch. So we've only got 26 stitches here, so it doesn't take that long to do. But as I said, that creates the little loop. And you see how now we've got a loop or a buttonhole or whatever you want to call it to go over. Bit of fluff there, that's because I've been stuffing an object, a little turtle chocolate orange cover that I've just done as another video. So I've got my desk such a mess to that side, it's terrible, because I've just done 3 videos back to back. They won't all go on at the same time, just flatten that out. But because I've done them back to back, I've just left everything out from each one and just sort of pushed it over. So this is just 1 double crochet into every single one of your double crochets. We're almost there. Now you can make the top a little bit longer if you wanted to. I've done it sort of it's a short one so that the fringes come over the tummy area, but again that's up to you, or you could actually make it smaller. And we're almost there. Don't forget that last stitch, it's so easy to miss it because it was a chain before. Make sure you get both bits of it as well. And there we are, so you can see how it is forming now, and that is our little buttonhole at the top. So when it comes around you'll be fastening it like that. I'm just double checking how many rows. I've got my pen here, I always have to mark it off. We have a DC row. That was our first row of 6 that we've just done, so I want 5 more rows. Now that is the size I did for these. As I say, you may need to vary it, and again depending on your tension you may need to do 1 less or 1 more. Now when we do our chain and we turn our work, it's right down there, it's that first one. Don't skip over to here because it will start to decrease. It's directly below where the chain is that we need to go. So off we go. This is our second row of our 6. It's a really nice quick make. If you're not used to using a smaller hook, you might not enjoy the hook size, but you could do it on a larger one, but you would need less stitches, and it would be a little bit chunkier. Or if you're making it for a larger doll, obviously you could do it that way as well. I'm thinking of doing a smart doll version, but for the smart doll, because obviously she is quite a curvy girl, I'm going to alter the pattern. I wouldn't just do it flat like this. I mean, for these guys it doesn't matter so much. It's determined to curl on me, isn't it? I'm gonna move my wool up there. It's just such pretty colours. I couldn't resist it when I saw it, and the green, how it pops out and everything, it's just gorgeous. I will put a link on if you're interested for the actual yarn as well. If I forget to put that on when I'm doing it and I just upload the video, give me a shout in comments and I'll find you a link. But it is a UK company, but I think Kinkole do yarn in other countries as well. One more. Again, it's hard to see because it's where that loop is, but there is a stitch there, so don't lose it, otherwise you'll be shrinking. So that's our second of our 6. 1 chain and turn and back down again. It is as simple as that. We are just doing row on row until we get to the desired length. So this is our third one, which takes us about halfway then. It does take us exactly halfway then. It is still so warm here. It's sometimes, as I know I mentioned in my last video, I want to put my fan on because I'm so warm, but I can't put my fan on because my lights and that are plugged into where my fan is. So I'm getting a bit warm here. And sometimes I find if my hands get warm, they're not sticky, they're just warm. The wool sort of catches on your fingers a little bit. So when I finish this video, my first priority is get myself a nice glass of water and have my breakfast as well, because I've not had that yet, and we're about going towards 11 o'clock this morning, so I do need that, and to put my fan on to cool down. So there's not that much to do with this one, so we don't need to worry too much. I'll not be long. My stomach keeps rumbling as always. I say it every time, don't I? I will have my breakfast before I do my videos, and I don't. Right, so that was 3. Number 4 coming up. So I chain before I turn. You can turn then chain, whichever works for you. I know most patterns go turn work, and then the first line will go chain 1, and then off you go. But I just prefer to chain before I turn. And most people that I've actually taught crochet to have said the same. They find it easy to chain, then turn the work, and off you go. It doesn't seem to make a difference to the end. Your ends are still nice and neat, because you do need to make sure you're keeping a straight line here. That's why I say make sure you don't drop into the next stitch. It has to be the stitch directly below the chain. Otherwise, you're going to make it smaller and it'll start turning into a bit of a triangle shape. I think that is an error that most people make, including myself, when we first start to crochet. This cotton's extra nice because it's what they call a mercerized cotton. So you can see it's got that sort of like shimmery sort of shine to it. And again, it makes it easier to crochet with because it sort of slides off the hook a little bit. I know recently I've been working on an orange cotton, and because it wasn't mercerized, it's not the nicest thing to work on. So that's 4. So I'm going to chain, then I'm going to turn directly below. I need to keep my side straight. And off we go. So this is our 4th. No, this is our 5th. Can't count. I've got it. Good job I write it down. That's all I can say. Go back to that gorgeous green again. I do love how versatile crochet is. There's so many things you can do. Although my mum's just knitted me a little jumpsuit and socks for Blythe. It is absolutely gorgeous. I've not tried it on yet because I've got to sew the buttons on and make a little buttonhole for it. And Mum does some gorgeous things, as some of you have seen on my Sindy site. But because obviously she's having a few more difficulties with her eyes now, little bits of detail she leaves for me to finish off. But that's easy enough. She makes the things for me and they're gorgeous. So I can't wait to put it on her. But I want to do a video of, like I did with my Sindy's, some Blythe clothing I've bought, and some I've made and some my mum's made. So last stitch there, 1 chain and turn, and this is my last row. So that didn't take long, did it? In fact, how long did it take? Well, 13 minutes. Again, it's not a race. Take your time. The most important thing is the end product and that you enjoy it. It's not a race. So if I'm going a little bit fast for you, I mean, to be honest, you could have just sort of paused me when I said you were doing 5 more rows and just gone off and done the rows and then come back to me, which I suspect some people may have done. Say hi to those that are still with me, listening to me usually talk a lot of rubbish. Oh, turquoise is nice. Turquoise against that white. I could just sit and look at variegated yarn for ages. That's a bit sad. It is a bit sad. I will write up a pattern for this, as much as it's a very simple garment to make. Although I don't know, do we need a pattern for it? Oh, I will do, because some people do like things. I know I do. I like to sort of collect written patterns. I have a folder for all my own, plus I have patterns from other people's, and I've got a little bit of a collection of vintage crochet books as well. So we are there. You should have nice straight edges, which we have, I'm quite pleased to say. And now I'm going to do, you see how we've got these little loops here ready for these tassels. That is what we need now. So this time I'm going to chain 3. 1, 2 and 3. Then I'm going to turn. Now for this one we're going to be missing 1 stitch. In fact, I need 1 more chain. I said chain 3, I actually chained 4. Right, we're going to miss, that's the one it comes out of in this situation. We're going to miss this one, and I'm going to double crochet into the next one, or not. I've actually changed my position here. I'm leaning on the table. I like to not do that. It makes it harder to crochet. 4 chain, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Miss one, double crochet into the next one. 4 chain, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Miss one, double crochet. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Miss one and double crochet. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Miss one and double crochet. We're almost halfway across already. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Miss one, double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4. Miss one, double crochet. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Miss one, double crochet. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Miss one, double crochet. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Miss one, in we go. Almost at the end now. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Miss one, double crochet, and then this one will be our last one. 1, 2, 3 and 4, because we need to end in that very last stitch. It's always the hardest to get into, and double crochet. And that is all the crochet there is, really, apart from a chain, but that's not really what I class as crochet. So fasten that off. Now these will flatten, as you can see on the girls, when we pop the tassels on. So I've ended up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we need to get a rough middle point. Now as far as the back and the front is concerned, you can hardly tell, to be honest. The only reason I sort of decide on my back and front is, can you see that looks slightly more bobbly, but in theory there's no difference, whereas that looks a little bit smoother, and it looks smoother along that edge. That is entirely up to you whether that's which way you prefer, but to me that's the front, that's the back. Okay, so I'm going to pop that down like that. We are now going to do a chain for the strap. I actually did 80 chain. That seems an awful lot, but we need to be able to tie it at the back, so you need enough, because it's really hard to tie a bow if it's too small. If you want to do it smaller and you're happy tying a bow on a smaller piece, that is up to you, but I did 80. So you're now going to have the boring point of me counting 80 stitches. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'll go a bit quicker. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Nearly got 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. We're halfway. Well, if you need to go to sleep, just listen to me counting to 80. It'll help you go to sleep. That's 40. Here we go. 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46 nearly, 47, 48, 49, 50. It can split cotton. You do have to be careful. 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60. We've only got 20 more to go. 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, nearly there, 77, 78, 79, 8. Oh, I can't drop the last stitch. 80. Right. I finished there. Now I really do need to sew the ends in. I'm not going to at this point because you don't need to see me sew ends in, but I wanted to just show you how I attach this. Now I took quite a large needle for this. It doesn't have to be a fine one. And I'm going to thread it through. I'm going to put my hook down. I don't need that for a minute. Thread it through. Now we need to find an approximate central position. Now again, if you count, so what did I say? 12, wouldn't I? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if there's 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 at the side, this here is my center point. So if I run my finger up all the way, and I'm going to push it in from the front. Don't pull it too hard, you don't want it to pull your stitches. And then the stitch next to it, pushing it back through. Okay, which leaves me a loop at the back. Now I'm just going to get my needle off, so I need to make sure these are even as well, because otherwise you're not going to get it even at the back. So make sure they match there. And I have my loop, and I'm going to push them through the loop. Now by doing it that way, it gives me that rounded bit there. So that's my definite front now, because if you look at the back it's different, and that's neater if it's at the front. So that is our actual halter strap. Now to finish it, nobody likes sewing these ends in. Absolute nightmare. So I have a method of doing that differently. We're going to make a fringe. So I have my 2 little pieces of extra yarn I have cut. It's getting stuck to everything. You can see it's not that long. Now I'm hoping, I'm just looking, where have I put my other needle? Where's my needle? This one might be a bit thick. Oh no, I've got one there. I've got one there. Because I need it to be relatively thin, because it's going to push through, I'll show you in a second, the last stitch. Yeah, so I'm just going to push this through. You see it? I've just pushed it through there. Pull it through, not all the way. Take the needle off. So it gives you 3, yeah, so it's almost like a little plait sort of scenario. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to knot it. You do have to shuffle it down to make sure your knot is right at the end of your chain, and tie it tight. Now that's not going to go anywhere now, and we haven't had to thread a loose end. So a little trim, ta-da, and we've done. I'm not going to do the other side because again I don't need to show you how to do both sides, but I wanted to show you just to do these little fringes. So again, another piece of yarn. What would you say that is? Sort of 6 inches, something like that. Try not to waste too much. I'm just going to loop it. Now get the front, because that's the one with the front there. It's going to go in. Let me get this the right way around, because I do it sometimes. I nearly did it wrong. Or am I going to do it wrong again? I am. Right, no, from the front. I have to do this so many times when I'm doing it myself, and I go, oh no, it's from the front. From the front, you see we've got a loop on one side now, and these on the other side, and it's like we did with the halter neck. I'm then just going to push those through and pull it tight. Now there's still a risk of that coming undone, so I found the easiest way of doing that, would normally do them all, but we'll just do the one. So I'm going to trim it. I normally do them all, trim them all level, and then I do what I'm going to do next. I'm going to take a relatively sharp needle, and you can see, in fact, if I just de-twist a piece of yarn for you, you can see how you got your different strands. What I'm basically wanting to do is separate those strands. Take your time when you do this, because they can split rather than just doing 3 strands. So sometimes a little bit lower down. But it's okay for it to fluff a little bit, because that is part of the look I'm going for. But you can see it's catching there, so I just take it out and do it a little bit lower. I'm happy with that. So again, move that one to one side. It's anything, they do get in the way of each other. So I've loosened it a little bit, found where I can slide in. Don't spook yourself with the fingers. It's actually easier to have it laid down and do it like that, but I need you to be able to see what I'm doing, so I'm having to hold it up. Right, and we just separate. You'll always get a little bit of fluff, so we just trim it off and it's done. But by separating it like that means it can't come undone as easy at that point. I mean, it's a fringe. Fringes always have a chance of coming undone, but it won't come undone as easy. So basically you need to carry on doing that in every single one. So it goes in loop first, loop it around, and separate it. Now as far as the button is concerned, I used a 6mm little button that I had. Can you see we've got a little button there? In fact, let me pop. There we go. I've tucked a thing in her hair because he keeps getting in my way. So you can see I've just used a tiny button, which I've just stitched on with normal sewing cotton in place and hooked it over there. And that holds it together. You could use a nice bead. You could do all sorts of different fastening, whatever you've got. If you don't want to do a loop, you could have done it with a press stud. So you don't need to do this little chain bit, the little 6 chain bit that I did. So you can leave that off and just do it sort of squared and use a press stud to pull across. But keep trying it on your doll to make sure it fits. But that is it basically. That is our little halter neck top. Nice quick little video there. Can do it on any doll. They've both got their denims on. These are both denims from Jolly Dolly shop. This is actually a Sindy one, but I think it fits her quite nicely. So at some point I might have to ask, see if she's got any other shorts, and then they can go on my Blythe as well, because I think it's quite nice. Because the top is so fancy, I think it's quite nice to have something plain to go with it. But if you were doing that in a plain colour, then you could have something fancy, however you want to mix and match your colours. But that's it for today. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, subscribe and share. And it's been really dark outside. They have said we might get some storms because it's been so hot. So I think looking at that weather, it may be going to happen. Okay, I might get wet when I go shopping today. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you all very soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.